Are the protest tactics being used here in Portland, Oregon nothing more than shit posting? Yeah, so I did a long video on this yesterday, day before. There was this piece that came out in The Verge claiming that the tactics that are being used by protesters here, you know, dressing up in chicken suits and in frog costumes, are nothing more than inanity, and they only work because the Trump regime is just trying to aura farm. And that if we had like a reasonable conflict, then the tactics that are being used at what is now being dubbed the inflation station. Yes, there is a collective space down at the Macadam Ice facility where people hang up all of the loner, blow up, inflatable outfits that you can wear to go protest. Portland, we get more Portland every single day, and I love us. Anyway, okay, so yeah, this article is basically like these tactics only work because politics has devolved so far in the United States, and I think that's just an absolutely trash take. And I want to give y'all a really specific example that disproves the claims in this article. So as a Portlander and somebody who's very heavily invested in nonviolent resistance, I understand the strategy, the intentionality in the protest tactics that are being deployed now down at ICE and all over the city. This desire to lean into levity, to whimsy. The regime is desperate to paint us as violent Antifa terrorists. They would love nothing better than for us to dress up as black bloc kids, cover our faces with gaiters, you know, kind of look a little bit like ICE, and smash shit, right? They have this vision that they are this characterization of Portlanders that they're trying to put out to Fox News. It is their propaganda game, trying to persuade their base that we are somehow violent thugs. You know, so when you have a marching band showing up in banana suits and you have people in inflatable squirrel costumes and frog costumes and unicorn costumes, folks dancing the cha-cha slide, blowing bubbles completely unarmed, completely nonviolent, it undercuts and disproves the lies of the regime very quickly. There's no way that the public is going to perceive somebody like a dude in a chicken suit handing out cookies as somehow a violent threat to the United States that justifies the brutality of ICE and bringing in the military. It makes the regime look unhinged, ridiculous, extreme, brutal, because they are all of those things.
Do you want to tell me why you're out here in a chicken costume at the ICE facility?
Sure, so this is how I've been protesting for the last couple months. I originally got it at the first No Kings protest back in June. That's when the taco Trump stuff was happening. Yeah. So it's just like, I'm going to dress as a chicken. But I continue to wear it because it's a fun way to draw visibility and keep morale up. I don't know. It's been a long fight out here, so having some levity in the moments is important.
You know, there's all this talk about Portland being a war zone.
I mean, it's hard to sell that narrative when you have somebody in a chicken suit. I get that. And that's like part of why, you know, we've got these like right-wing instigators, or we call them vultures, basically. But they come in and they get footage and they edit it. And that's what actually gets to President Trump a lot. You know, they don't cut me into the video. Yeah. Right? They always make sure to cut me out.
We are just like whimsical, unarmed Portlanders. We're Americans who are exercising our constitutional rights in a way that's like a little bit silly and completely non-threatening. But there's more to it than that. And I want to use this guy here to illustrate my point. Now, recently, Kristi Noem came to Portland. Right, and the narrative from the regime is that Portland is a city on fire. It's a city entirely out of control, overrun by violent Antifa domestic terrorists. Anywhere that Ice Barbie goes, there's going to be a fleet of cameramen, and she often has right-wing influencers with her as well. Everything she does is meant to be a photo op. Everything she does is meant to be a chance to film propaganda for the regime. She's trying to craft a narrative, and they are intentionally trying to manufacture scenarios so they can get the footage that they want. And we in Portland have been really, really good at depriving them of any ammunition to back up their false narrative about our city. But it goes even further than that. Okay, so let's remember the premise of the Verge article. What protesters are doing in Portland is simply shitposting. Right? Shitposting is where you engage in some kind of behavior, you make some kind of post just to be absurd, offensive, to be a distraction. That is not what is happening here. And I want to say thank you again to Brennan Perez for introducing all of us to the term tactical frivolity. That is exactly what we're doing in Portland. It's not devoid of meaning. It's not absurdity for absurdity's sake. It's not just meant to be some kind of angsty demonstration. No, it's intentional. It's tactical. So we know one of the tactics is to highlight the contrast between us completely non-violent, non-threatening, silly protesters and brutal, unhinged ICE agents. There's the way that our choice of protesting undercuts and disproves the lies of the regime, but there's more to it than that. So I want you to watch this clip and see if you can figure out how else tactical frivolity is a pretty genius strategy. Did you notice what happened there? So Kristi Noem is on the roof of the ICE building. She's there with a right-wing influencer, and they are trying to get footage that they can use for their propaganda. What they want is a bunch of angry kids dressed in black screaming at them, just like full of rage, so they can say, oh, look at these unhinged, violent kids, like they were on the verge of throwing Molotov cocktails or some shit like that. And instead, they got Jack in a chicken suit being like, hey, what's up? How's it going up there? What you witness there is not shit posting, it is a tactical decision to interrupt the filming of propaganda footage and render it completely unusable by the regime for their intended purpose. Remember, this is very much a PR game. It's very much about propaganda. It's very much about the regime trying to convince the American people that their lies are true. What you got was them grumbling that they didn't get the footage that they want. All they had was this lame little grumble at the end of like, oh, it's really different after dark, we promise. Yeah, bitch, the reason it's different after dark is because 50 to 60 American Gestapo chuddies in their body armor roll out and start brutalizing protesters. Not because the protesters are doing anything different, but because ICE is the one that is instigating. ICE is the one that is manufacturing violence. So then when Kristi Noem comes out with garbage like this.
I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. While you talked about some of the stories of our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents, how they have been attacked, how they have been shot at, injured, the damage that they've done, these leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up.
So because folks like Jack deprive Kristi Noem of the footage that she was desperate for, right? She doesn't have any video proof of protesters being violent and fitting her lies, her false description. She has to say, the governor and the mayor are, engaged in a mass cover-up? That they're conspiring with Antifa terrorists to hide those terrorists from Kristi Noem's view? It's so fucking embarrassing. It is just the most fragile, transparent, ridiculous lie. But that's the best she can come up with because Portlanders deprived her of her propaganda footage. What you're seeing in Portland and now spreading across the country is not devolved politics in the United States. It is innovation. It's adaptability. It's creativity. It's Americans seeing the tactics of the regime and using non-violent strategies to subvert their messaging and to gain control of the narrative. It's not shitposting, it's tactical frivolity, and it's really, really fucking genius. Not only do the protesters down at ICE deserve to be treated with respect, not only for the sacrifice they are making in engaging in this work, but also for their innovation, for their creativity. This isn't shitposting. This is how you topple authoritarians. We should all be taking notes. And also don't feel constrained just to what folks are doing here in Portland. There are going to be more adaptive, creative, innovative strategies that come out in the weeks and months ahead. Americans are fiercely creative people. We are incredibly resilient. Every nonviolent resistance movement throughout history, you see new tactics emerge. You see a blossoming of creativity. Portland is such a great example of how when the regime tries to do something terrible, that gives us an opportunity to innovate. That gives us a chance to try new things. What's happening in Portland is part of the solution, but we're going to see more. We're going to see more solutions arise all around the country.